You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
Hello and good morning everybody, and welcome to the Fulbeck Racing Club here at the magnificent Grantham, Lincolnshire Car Club base. It's a fantastic race day ahead of us for the third round of the 2018 BIRELART UK Karting Series. Jake Sanson here, currently in the pits. We're waiting the action from the qualifying session. I will be eventually moving to the infield for the races itself. It's going to be an absolutely terrific day of motorsport here for the cadets, juniors and elites in each of the individual BIRELART UK Series classes, with some fantastic racing to come. Starting off, of course, with the qualifying sessions in each of the three classes, and it will be a very interesting battle considering what we had at Llandau over in April and back in May at Clay Pigeon. This is going to be a really interesting third round of the championship. 2 weeks ago was the second round at Clay Pigeon, and of course we continue on our 4-week rodeo with 2 weeks' time heading to the fourth round of the championship at Wilton Mill. And then, of course, before we close out the season, we've got Glenagors Park in Wales, Hooton Park near Ellesmere Port in the Merseyside area. And then, of course, we have our last 2 rounds of the championship at Sheddington, the Monza of British karting, and then, of course, the last round of the championship at Wilton Mill in November. It's a busy season for the BIRELART UK Series once again, and we've got some great drivers to go battling in the qualifying sessions. We'll start off, of course, with the cadets, as we have always done so. And it's a very interesting battle in the 2018 series. The Cadets Championship has seen 3 drivers go to battle in every single race thus far this year. Oakley Keatley, Nathan Tye and Ella Stevens. They are separated in the championship standings by just 6 points in this incredible championship battle. And we have learnt this morning that for one of those drivers, it will be the last time they go racing in the BIRELART UK Series in 2018, as the champion, Ella Stevens, has elected to focus on her national campaigns for the remainder of the championship season. So this will be her last outing in the 2018 BIRELART UK Series Cadet Championships, which means that she will want to end her career here on a high. And that's going to make things very interesting for the rest of the challengers. And it almost automatically makes it a 2-horse fight between the 2 friends and rivals, Nathan Tye and Oakley Keatley. However, there are definitely going to be a few drivers on their tail who will want to stop that from happening. There are some established guards in the field from last year, Jamie Gurney, Charlie Humphreys and Aidan Hassan, who will desperately be supping up all of the podiums they lose over the course of the year, and they will be trying to get onto the podium as many times as humanly possible. And then we've got our crop of rookies who are very rapidly getting up to speed. We've got the likes of Jamie Scott, Craig Evans, Lily Jeffson, Archie Heron, who are already threatening to be regulars in the top 6. And then we've got some great talents moving up through the ranks as they continue their progression. The likes of Hudson Crosh, Josh Turnbull, and then, of course, Ali Hussein in the mix as well. It's all set to be a very interesting day at the races here. The last time out for Ella Stevens, second in the championship, 3 points back from championship leader Nathan Tye, with Oakley Keatley only 3 points back himself. So whoever walks away from this with the most points effectively walks away as the championship leader. But that's going to be a very interesting challenge. And of course, considering how well she has grown through the world of BIRELART UK Series, Ella Stevens, 11 years old, will want to leave here as a race winner. Having already clinched the championship last year, she'll want to bow out on a high. But the way that Nathan and Oakley have been hanging around together on every single stretch of racetrack from here to Timbuktu, they've been absolutely glued to each other. And it looks as though those two are going to continue their 1-2 swapping positions every single race as they continue. But that doesn't mean it's uncrushable, because there's 3 very talented drivers, as we mentioned, who are definitely going to try and break down that wall. Nathan Tye and Oakley Keatley could be beaten here today by Charlie Humphreys in particular, Jamie Gurney in the mix as well as he continues to get faster, and Aidan Hassan. The whistle goes at the end of the pits here, and we are going straight into qualifying. So now it's all about fastest lap times as the best drivers in the BIRELART UK Series Cadet Fraternity in the United Kingdom go to battle as they quest for glory here at Fulbeck. 12 months ago, it was a very entertaining race battle, and we had several drivers up for the race victory, including Ella Stevens, who of course is finishing her BIRELART UK journey for the moment at least here. But it's very tempting for drivers. They've always said, well, I'm done with BIRELART for now. They always find a way to come back eventually. It's a very addictive atmosphere, this particular championship paddock. Drivers will leave, disappear, and then come back again. A few drivers leaving the pits after the rest of the field. I noticed that Aidan Hassan and Craig Evans appear to have formed a bit of an alliance and look like they're going to be working together to get some fast lap times in the mix. So let's see how the drivers go. Qualifying well underway then, as the drivers are battling. We are trackside here at Fulbeck, and we are live on Downforce UK as well, around the world. To 650,000 listeners have tuned in to Downforce UK, and it's been absolutely incredible. This is a terrible start, though. We've got Oakley Keatley having broken down. Oakley Keatley has broken down in qualifying. Absolutely unbelievable. So that is one of the main championship competitors has broken down on the way to the pits. This could not be any more dramatic if you asked it to be. Well, Oakley Keatley is out of qualifying. There was told this morning very clearly that if you can get the kart started as long as it's out of position, well, then that's going to be very different. But for Oakley Keatley, it is game over in qualifying. Absolutely disastrous for him. And Jamie Gurney's gone off the road trying to get his tyres up to temperature, manages to get back on without hitting anything. But this has thrown a major spanner in the works, as Oakley Keatley is going to have to start the first heat of the day from the back of the grid. Now, if that's not drama, I don't know what is, because that is absolutely incredible. So, the first couple of laps are coming in, and the drivers are starting to set their ultimate times. It's Ellis Stevens fastest from Nathan Turney and Jamie Gurney. Charlie Humphries in fourth, but my goodness me, Oakley Keatley broken down and out of qualifying. Hadn't even got a first lap in. Absolutely disastrous. Well, that has definitely changed things. And it is an absolute heart-wrencher for the man who took his first two victories in BIRELART UK Series Cadet Racing. Last time out at Clay Pigeon, including the final, getting himself right into contention for the championship. And with Ellis Stevens, of course, retiring from the BIRELART UK Series Cadet Championship at the end of this meeting, then that would open the door to those two to fight for the championship. But this is going to be potentially big points lost for Keatley unless he can fight his way back. And let's be fair, last year when Keatley had difficulties and started at the back, he was very good indeed at charging his way forward. So this is not an end of the meeting by any stretch. Into the pits comes Jamie Scott. Now Jamie Scott, the 49, has come in. So clearly Jamie Scott needs something adjusted. I was just going to say that Oakley Keatley's very, very good at fighting his way back after difficulties. So Keatley is one of those drivers who is very good at charging his way further forward. So I don't think he'll finish as low as 12th in the first race, but that definitely makes his job a little harder. But at the moment, it's Ellis Stevens from Nathan Tye. Charlie Humphries has now moved up in a third position. The number 6 looking beautiful out there as Charlie Humphries pumps in the laps. So a really good start to proceedings. Nathan Tye second, Charlie Humphries third from Jamie Gurney and Aidan Hassan, with Archie Heron the leading rookie at the moment from Craig Evans and Lily Jeffs. Ali Hussein is next up from Josh Turnbull, Hudson Cross, Jamie Scott and Jake Bell, with Oakley Keatley yet to set a lap time and not going to do so in qualifying. Very dramatic start to proceedings here at Fulbeck, but this is Oakley Keatley we're talking about. Even starting from the back of the grid, he knows how to charge his way forward. So as long as he's patient on that first lap, he can get himself back up to the top 6 fairly quickly and will get himself back into contention for the race victories later on. Of course, every driver in the 2018 season can drop a heat, a pre-final and a final, has dropped scores through the course of the season. So it's going to be a very interesting challenge for the drivers nonetheless, but this does make Oakley Keatley's challenge for the 2018 title very hard indeed. But Ellis Stevens is looking to bow out at the top as she continues to run at the top of the table. 0.4 of a second faster. Very impressive stuff from Ellis Stevens, who's found a time that is a 52.2 compared to Nathan Tye on a 52.6. So it's Stevens from Tye, Humphries, Gurney, Hassan, Heron, Evans, Jeffs, Hussein, Turnbull, Cross, Scott and Bell. So already this 2018 Cadets Grid campaign is going to be very interesting at Fulbeck as the qualifying session runs down to a close. It's going to be a very interesting challenge. So Kate Taylor asks, where do I find live timing? Very interesting question. You can find it on live.alphatiming.co.uk and you can follow live timing as it happens. Just search for the BIRELART UK series and you'll be able to find it nice and easy. It's a very good website to follow if you're watching along. Just bear in mind the fact that live timing is slightly faster than my words by the time they reach you. There's about a 20-second difference in terms of live stream, but hopefully it should make fairly reasonable sense if you are using both to watch from home. If you are listening via Spreaker back home, wherever it might be, wherever you are in the world, we do have listeners to the BIRELART UK series, as well as followers all over the world, as far as down under in New Zealand, supporting George Friday. There are racers all over the world who watch, as well as our good friend Christian Valverde, who tunes in every time from Canada. An international championship this, the BIRELART UK series paddock. Great to see such interest from all over the world. And of course, still great racing no matter where you look. There's Archie Heron just passing my position as he continues to get a very decent lap in. He's looking at 6th position at the moment, Archie Heron. That will be his best performance of the 2018 season, and very rightly so. He's getting very good with his development at the moment, is Archie Heron. Getting very fast indeed, as is young Josh Turnbull going past. They always have to learn in the first season of their careers, cutting their teeth the hard way. But the talent is really, really strong here this weekend. And Ella Stevens increases her speed again. Now has found a 52.1. Goodness me, Ella Stevens determined to bow out at the top as she works very, very hard to find a decent lap in here. So Ella Stevens, reigning champion in the BIRELART UK Series Cadets, running very well indeed. Second place now for Nathan Tighe from Jamie Gurney, once again back into 3rd position. Now he's back to where we know he can be. So Jamie Gurney back to his best once again. And Jamie Gurney working his way forward. Can he get himself onto the front row? Charlie Humphreys in 2nd position. We have just under 2.5 minutes left of the session. And we'll try and grab the drivers as they come in. But a very tough day at the office expected with the qualifying looking like this. The Fulbeck circuit, a very tough racetrack to get used to. Of course, this dates back a long way, Fulbeck. Since 1959, these guys have been racing in the world of British karting, and this is an ancient suicide airfield, is the technical term, I've been told. Basically, the airfield here at Fulbeck used to be used by aircraft that couldn't land anywhere else safely and had to basically ditch at Fulbeck, and obviously as a result of that, under this tarmac surface we're racing on, 4 centimetres down, it's pure concrete. So obviously that gave us a really interesting sight yesterday when we had initial rain in the early stages and the sun came up, and obviously the heat carries through the concrete and the race circuit was steaming as the water was boiling off the surface of the tarmac yesterday. Really fascinating sight. And it provides great racing here at Fulbeck. We're always really excited by it. And with just over a minute to go in the session, it is still Ella Stevens at the top. Currently in the 52.3s. Not as fast as she's gone, but definitely still faster than anybody else has managed. So Ella Stevens, absolutely ruthless, hoping to go for her 2nd win of the season after winning the first race at Landau by about 4 centimetres, I think it was, the final distance between her and Nathan Tighe as they scrapped away for the wins at Landau. But Nathan Tighe 2nd, Charlie Humphreys back into 3rd position again. He's found a little bit more speed and Humphreys is back into 3rd. Now it's going to be really interesting on the run to that first corner because Charlie Humphreys continuing to move forward. Jamie Gurney 4th from Aidan Hassan and the rookie Archie Heron. And then we have Craig Evans, Ali Hussein and Lily Jeffs in the mix, with Josh Turnbull rounding out the top 10 in front of Hudson Cross, Jamie Scott and Jake Bell, with very dramatically no laps at all from Oakley Keatley. 3rd in the championship, 6 points behind the race leader in the championship standings. That is Nathan Tighe, who is still pushing to try and find a little bit more speed on the reigning champion Ella Stevens, in the hope that he can get the victory. He's chipping away at it little by little. He's done a 52.448. That's much better, taking the gap down to 0.3. But that's still only going to be good enough for 2nd position. And if Ella Stevens gets into the lead of the first race, she's going to be very difficult to beat in this speed and this form. So it's going to be a really interesting weekend for the outgoing champion, Ella Stevens, who will finish her BIRELART UK Series campaign this weekend. The checkered flag is out, and so the drivers will finish their flying laps. And this will be it for them. Aidan Hassan trying not to get held up by Josh Turnbull. Oh, that's going to compromise his last sector, I think, just a little bit there, but that was him last year. in exactly the same boat. So the checkered flag is now out, and it looks to me as though Jamie Gurney will remain leadings as the battle continues. But it will be a really exciting race from here on in as the battles continue. And we've got some great racing to come as the qualifying session comes to an end. And it's Ella Stevens from Nathan Ty and Charlie Humphreys, Jamie Gurney in front of Aidan Hassan and Archie Heron, Evans, Hussein, Jeffs and Turnbull in the top 10 from Hudson Cross, Jamie Scott, Jack Bell, and most dramatically of all, it is Oakley Keatley who fails to set a single qualifying lap. That is absolutely incredible. What a race we're going to have for the first heat of the day.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
So a very dramatic start to the qualifying sessions with the cadets finishing up with Oakley Keatley having failed to set a lap time. We'll try and get a quick word with a couple of the drivers having come in. So obviously all the cadets are now finished up with their qualifying, but a really interesting grid because we have Stevens and Ty at the front. Humphreys and Gurney seem to have got their mojo back. It's really good to see them in the second row of the grid going much faster, and that's really going to give them bags of confidence going into the racing here. A fifth position for Aidan Hassan. I think that's his best ever qualifying performance, so he's going to be very happy with that. And a top 6 for Archie Heron as the rookie in the top 6. Very impressive stuff indeed. I'm actually going to see if I can grab a quick word with young Archie. He looks very happy with his lot being in the top 6 for his first time this high up in qualifying. Archie, that wasn't bad, was it? Top 6, you must be delighted with that.
Yeah, I'm really happy I got that because I was trying my hardest and I almost got stuck behind number 75, but I came up the inside coming to the top corner.
Andy Cox giving you a nice little flick on the air. Fantastic, great to see you so high up. Can we get the podium today perhaps?
Maybe, never know.
Maybe. Good job, Archie. Really, really good. Great to see the rookies moving forward and getting into the top 6. And Archie is definitely throwing down the gauntlet as the lead rookie here this weekend. And cracking the top 6 for the first time is always a very special moment in a youngster's career. So that's a really, really nice moment for Archie. Everybody else is getting well and truly scrutineered now. So we will move from the cadets over to the juniors, where there has been an incredible battle in the 2018 season. One man has won very nearly every race over the course of the season. It's been 5 out of 6 for Callum Gunning, but just to give you an idea of how close it's been, that sounds boring from the outset, but the total number of laps that Callum Gunning led over the Clay Pigeon race weekend was 2. Yep, just 2. The last 2 laps of the 2 races that he took the victory. So it's always been very close in 2018. And even though Gunning has won 5 out of 6, it's been a lot closer than that statistic would suggest. And there's been a total of 8 drivers thus far who have been in the top 3 at the end of a race. So it's been very close indeed. Plenty of great action, and the midfield has been absolutely furious and frenetic. So many drivers have cracked the top 10 in various races, various sessions. Pretty much everybody has had a turn towards the front, the midfield, and the rear of the grid. It's been absolutely incredible in juniors. One of the closest championships I think I've known in British karting for years. And it's still not really clear who is going to take the ultimate championship, because starting the season on a high, Callum Gunning taking the triple at Landau and then just pipping him to the post in the final. Harry Graham to take his first on-track final victory in an absolutely terrific race that I think a lot of people are going to remember for a long time. A euphoric moment back at Clay Pigeon 2 weeks ago. But there are still quite a few chapters to be told. There's a lot of drivers who have cracked the top 3 this year and who regularly want to continue being there. Nicky Taylor, Dylan Reed, Toby Baldry, Thomas Harvey. Of course, Harry Graham and Callum Gunning have been there as well. Scott Huntley. Several drivers getting on the close doors of that top 3 as well. So many drivers wanting to charge their way forward. Plus, there's that incredible rookie battle that has not relented since the first race at Landau between Lewis Berry and Alicia Parmowski, with currently in the standings Parmowski only 6 points ahead of Lewis Berry. It's been incredibly close between those two, and we're still not sure, with 6 weekends of racing still to go, which way that rookie title is going to go. And it's going to be an incredibly enjoyable battle all the way through. Plus, we've got that spread of rookie drivers as well as the cadet drivers who have come up. They're not rookies because, of course, they've been racing in BIRELART for quite a while now, but they've stepped up from cadets to juniors this year and have already been incredibly quick. Louis Ross, Dylan Briley and Thomas Harvey have already shown that their step up to cadets and their front-running pace is there for all to see. It's no fluke how good they were in cadets. They've come straight in with 40cc more horsepower under their right foot and already been straight up in the top 6 on regular occasions. Great to see them battling away. And that basically means that the gauntlet is thrown down to the regular drivers who are trying to make a good break of it this season. The likes of Dylan Reed, Tom Davison, Morgan Cole, Ben Gartside, George Whitehouse, Zach Parkinson, Jack Rigg. These guys need to make a little bit of a rise of their game now to cope with these new guys coming in. So the challenge is always going to be there for the taking. But then, of course, you've got a few of the drivers who have already put on a bit of a surprise in the early stages. We didn't have Joe Sheppy last time out, of course, at Clay Pigeon due to a injury to his foot. It is now okay, but let's not forget his race results at Landau: pole position in qualifying, then a second, a third, and a fourth. So Joe Sheppy is definitely going to be a threat over the course of this weekend, and I think a lot of people need to keep that one in mind, because Joe is definitely a threat for qualifying prowess once again here. But there's so many drivers in this junior field who can play a good role. Plus, of course, we have the returning top rookie from last year, Connor Brown, who was particularly spectacular at Landau, ended his weekend going round in circles after clipping the barriers on the run to Raymond's at the final of Landau, but has now fought his way back. And it's great to see him back once again. He's definitely going to be one of the overtaking kings if his reputation precedes him. And of course, there's always the man who pulled off the Rainmaster magic in the E-Plate last year at Shennington, Sam Cunliffe. He was particularly fast yesterday in practice, never far away from the top 5 and regularly within it. So there's definitely going to be some challenges from Sam Cunliffe as this race weekend goes on. But who is going to win? Well, that's a mystery. And at the moment, it's a little bit of a lottery, because all of these guys have a great opportunity to go for the win, and all of them very, very able-bodied with it. So just a confirmation of the times from the cadets before we move into the juniors qualifying session. Ellis Stevens at the top from Nathan Tide, Charlie Humphreys, Jamie Gurney, Aidan Hassan and Archie Heron cracking the top 6 for the very first time in his BIRELART UK cadet career. Great to see him there. The rest of the rookies: Craig Evans, Ali Hussein popping up into the top 10 as well. Great lap from him. Lily Jeffs and Josh Turnbull rounding out the top 10. And then it's Hudson Cross, Jamie Scott and Jake Bell starting 14th with no qualifying laps at all. Will be Oakley Keatley for the first heat. And that's going to be a great thing to watch. Oakley Keatley charging through from 14th on the grid. No doubt he's going to put on quite a spectacular performance, as he always tends to do when the chips are down. So we wait for the drivers to head out onto the circuit for their qualifying session. In less than a minute, the whistle will go from Megan at the end of the pits, who will signal our drivers to head out onto the circuit for qualifying. And it will be an amazing start to the qualifying session, no doubt, as the juniors will blast away and duke out for position from the off. Very hot here at Fulbeck compared to yesterday. We had real rain showers yesterday all the way through the majority of the day. The mid part was quite hot, and then we had the rain come back in a monsoon fashion just at the end of the last session of the day, and it very nearly flooded us out. The contrast 24 hours later could not be more stark if you asked it to be, because we are now sweltering conditions, and a lot of the drivers here on the grid, having been sat in their overalls, their helmets, their balaclavas, their gloves, their boots, sat in direct sunlight, not moving for the last sort of 5-10 minutes or so. It's already getting to be quite tough, and that's something that they've got to cope with going into the qualifying session as well. It's always very hard for these drivers to get themselves up to speed, but that is the whistle, that is the green, and away we go. Great racing about to happen in earnest for the juniors, but first they have to do the qualifying session. And so, as we have the session now getting up to speed, the drivers underway for the 10 minutes out on track that will dictate where they start this first of 3 races from on the grid. So a lot of drivers making their way out onto the circuit. Only a couple of absentees from this race as well, unfortunately, because there are a few drivers who couldn't make it out here for this round of the championship due to holidays or exams or various other difficulties. We're only missing 3 drivers from the registered entry for the 2018 season, and they are namely Connor Stanton, who's done so well moving up to juniors, having had an absence in 2017, took a sabbatical having been a cadet in 2016, and is now racing well in the juniors. He's not here this weekend. Vijay Ramlal, the very talented novice driver, he has unfortunately not been able to make it here either. And the man who should have started the season but hasn't been able to due to an injury picked up shortly after the Wilton Mill opener that was cancelled after snow deluged the circuit. Will Vincent had an injury to his foot, which unfortunately means now that he's having to develop it and basically bring it back up to full fitness. We're hoping to see him out in time for Glanagorse Park next month. So that is the news we have on Will Vincent, and hopefully he will be back to his very best and we'll get to see him in race action. He's going to have a hard time of it, especially in this grid, but the drivers are now on their flying laps. The first lap of asking for pole position is set by Nicky Taylor, but the juniors will be going faster than that without any hesitation at all. They fly their way through the circuit on the latter stages of the lap. Here at the pits, it's going to be very interesting to see how they continue to pick their way through. But the drivers going well at the moment. Nicky Taylor and Callum Gunning, Connor Brown and Harry Graham passing through. Then we have George Whitehouse, Louis Ross and Joe Sheppy flying through. Dylan Briley, the 101, just passing my position here at the pits. And then we have Sam Cunliffe and Scott Huntley, who appear to be working together as they drift round this double apex right onto that flying flat-out left-hander that brings you back onto the main straight. Incredible circuit here at Fulbeck. And the times are giving us a good indication of what we can expect. We've got Nicky Taylor and Harry Graham from the front. Toby Baldry and Connor Brown up in 4th position. Then we have Thomas Harvey right up there in 5th place from Dylan Reed. Joe Sheppy and Ben Gartside. Sam Cunliffe and George Whitehouse. Then it's Morgan Cole. The leading rookie thus far is Lewis Berry. Then it's Jack Rigg. Zach Parkinson's just moved up past Rigg. Moving up the order, Alicia Parmowski's just broken into the top 10. Great lap from Parmowski. So Alicia Parmowski breaks into the top 10 for the first time in 2018 and looking very fast here, I have to say. So the battle's still very strong in the early stages of qualifying as drivers really crack their rhythm. Graham goes to the top from Nicky Taylor and Dylan Reed now in 3rd position from Connor Brown. Up the order now to the top comes Scott Huntley. So Scott Huntley goes fastest of all. Really good battle from Scott Huntley there, the 6th, as he moves his way further forward. But there's a lot of great battles for the drivers as the lap times continue to drop. Now, interestingly, Callum Gunning and Nicky Taylor appear to be working together here with Connor Brown and Harry Graham in unison. Joe Sheppy has got a bit of clean air from the rest of the drivers behind him. George Whitehouse, Louis Ross and Dylan Briley getting up to speed. And then, of course, as we know, we've got Sam Cunliffe and Scott Huntley out there together. A few other drivers in the mix as well, but at the moment it's now Toby Baldry who's gone to the top. Scott Huntley in 2nd from Reed, Graham, Harvey. Well, that's changed because now to 2nd again comes Huntley. So Baldry, Huntley, Reed, Cunliffe up to 4th place now, ahead of Harry Graham, who has dropped back to 5th. We did say it was going to be close in the juniors. We weren't lying. Great stuff from the juniors at the moment as they continue to battle away. But Dylan Reed now goes to the top. Dylan Reed up at the front end of the field. Great lap from Dylan as he now goes fastest of all. So Dylan Reed up at the front. Then it's Baldry, Huntley, Harvey, Cunliffe, Graham, Taylor, Morgan Cole up in the sharp end from Connor Brown and Callum Gunning, who's just broken into the top 10 for the first time. So it's Graham from Reed now. Graham's gone to the top once more. Reed, Baldry. Then we have Scott Huntley. Oh, and up to 2nd places comes Scott Huntley again. So it's Graham, Huntley, Reed, Baldry, Cunliffe and Harvey now. Nicky Taylor in front of Morgan Cole in 8th position. Then it is Connor Brown and George Whitehouse. Whitehouse cracks the top 10 now in front of Callum Gunning. So Gunning is going to have a real mission of this. If he can't get into the top 10, he's going to have an amazing job to fight his way forward and keep that amazing streak of his going. But great battling in qualifying thus far. It's incredibly close as Graham leads from Huntley, Dylan Reed and Toby Baldry. And still those lap times keep tumbling as we have Scott Huntley on the back of on the back of Harry Graham. Dylan Reed, Toby Baldry, Sam Cunliffe, and now Joe Sheppy's up to top 6. So Sheppy's broken into the top 6. We said he'd be a big factor in this one. So Sheppy moving forward, and the gap is coming down at the front end again, so it's going to be very close. Nicky Taylor, Thomas Harvey, Callum Gunning up to 9th now in front of George Whitehouse. Then we've got Connor Brown and Morgan Cole, Guardside, Rigg, Palmowski, Davison, Parkinson, Berry, Dylan Briley and Louis Ross for some reason, way off the pace. Not really sure what's happening with Louis Ross today, but he's a lot quicker than that normally. So let's see what Louis Ross can do as he really gets the mettle of this kart. Very different compared to yesterday, of course, the conditions, and it's very close from the front to the back, so it's always going to be hard to tell who's going to have the ultimate pace from the get-go. But the drivers are working incredibly hard to get a decent lap on the board. So at the moment, it is Graham in front of Huntley, Reed and Cunliffe from Baldry and Connor Brown in the top 6. There comes Morgan Cole right in behind Ben Guardside as he tries to get a good run out of the final turn. Parkinson's got a queue forming up behind him. Jack Rigg, Lewis Berry and Alicia Palmowski as they come through this time by. Graham, Huntley, Reed, Cunliffe is still your top 4. Running out of time, 3 minutes 18 on the clock for qualifying here in the BIRELART UK Series as the drivers continue to push and are trying to work their magic through as fast as they possibly can. Graham, Huntley, Dylan Reed, Sam Cunliffe, Baldry, Brown, Taylor and Sheppy, then Tom Harvey and Callum Gunning in the top 10. Jack Rigg has come up to 11th place. Good move from Rigg. So Rigg is going quite well. Dylan Reed looks like he was on a fast lap there before trying to get past Thomas Harvey. But Dylan Reed is definitely in the hunt for pole position here in 3rd position at the moment as he comes through this time by. Can he crack even further ahead? No improvement this time, but Reed is not far off the top spot. Some good movement through the field, but it's Graham who leads it. Huntley 2nd from Reed, Cunliffe, Baldry, Brown, then Nicky Taylor, Joe Sheppy, Thomas Harvey and Callum Gunning in the top 10. From Jack Rigg and George Whitehouse, then Morgan Cole, Ben Guardside, Alicia Palmowski, Tom Davison, Zach Parkinson, Louis Ross now from Lewis Berry and Dylan Briley. So the pace is moving forward, but still at the top it's Harry Graham. Up to 4th now comes Sam Cunliffe. Cunliffe breaks into the top 4 again. The E-plate was very fast yesterday and he's got himself back there again today. Great run so far from Cunliffe as he finds an improvement. Nicky Taylor goes faster as well, up to 5th place. So Taylor in the top 5. Well, we're getting some more speed out of the drivers. Gunning now slots into 7th place behind Toby Baldry. Connor Brown is 8th from Ben Guardside. Guardside's up in the 9th place. Good run from Guardside as he now breaks himself into the top 10. I was always expecting this with the season that Guardside would really start to hit a peak, and now he's getting there. Up into the top 10. It looks to me as though Louis Ross has done all he can do. He brings the kart into the pits with a best of 18th fastest. So Louis Ross only getting a 47.4 out of the kart. Not where he wants to be. Baldry and Reed is still trying to make progress further forward as Graham now leads Callum Gunning. Gunning has come up to 2nd. My goodness, Callum Gunning. He always seems to do this throughout the entirety of practice and the majority of qualifying. He seems to be a little bit loose and nowhere near the pace. Then in the last stages of qualifying, bang! In comes a fast one and Gunning is right up in the top 5 once again. So it looks like it's all done and dusted for Joe Sheppy. He's done all he can do. And to be fair to him, Joe Sheppy has cracked the top 10, but only just. It's all changed again now as Dylan Reed goes to the top. Dylan Reed goes fastest. My goodness. We're getting to the last few seconds of the session and Reed has now gone top. Harry Graham 2nd from Gunning, Huntley, Guardside, Nicky Taylor, Toby Baldry, Connor Brown, Ben Guardside and Joe Sheppy. You can always guarantee the junior qualifying session is going to go down to the wire. Magnificent battles at the moment between the guys out there. They're really pushing it. And they're on their last qualifying laps now. The last one who's going to cross the line to start a new lap is going to be George Whitehouse. But I think Scott Huntley has done all he can do. Sam Cunliffe's going to finish this qualifying lap. It's going to be his last as the checkered flag is ready to fly. He'll be the first one to take it. But is this going to be a major improvement from Cunliffe? He remains in 5th position. Not a bad run from Cunliffe. But who's going to be pole? It looks to me like it's going to be Dylan Reed at the moment. He's still out there, pounding on this final flying lap. Guardside and Cole working together. 1, 2, 4, Harvey in there as well. Dylan Reid from Harry Graham, Callum Gunning and Scott Huntley. Reid comes through, remains at the top. Is there going to be a final change? Well, Tom Harvey's moved up to 7th, pushing Joe Sheppy out of the top 10. Several drivers have moved forward. But Nicky Taylor has done all he can do, and that's only good enough for 8th place. But Dylan Reid is going to be there from Harry Graham. They come across the line. Is there going to be one final change as they come through this time? Last couple of drivers over the line, and I think it's all done and dusted. But it's Dylan Reid who comes through at the top end of the dais. Dylan Reid, our 3rd different pole position sitter after Joe Sheppy and Harry Graham. Dylan Reid is in pole position for the heat later on. Absolutely terrific, and Dylan Reid is delighted with it. Pole position, Harry Graham 2nd, Callum Gunning is 3rd from Scott Huntley. Sam Cunliffe, Tom Davison in 6th position. Great result from Tom Davison. Much better to see him crack the top 6 where he belongs. Tom Harvey in 7th place from Nicky Taylor in 8th position. Toby Baldry, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Connor Brown in the 103. Then behind is Morgan Cole in 11th place from Ben Gartside in 12th. Then it is Joe Sheppy, Jack Rigg, George Whitehouse, Alicia Parmowski, the first of the rookies, in front of Zach Parkinson, Louis Ross, Lewis Berry and Dylan Brierley. A fantastic qualifying session, really close, and again, right down to the wire. But what a result for Dylan Reid, making it the 3rd different pole sitter in 3 meetings. That's how close it is in juniors this year. A sensational battle, and my goodness me, it's going to be a trio of magnificent races in the juniors. I'm going to try and get in there and grab a word with a few of the drivers as they come through from scrutineering. We'll see who was about. Callum Gunning, though, once again, leaving it to the last possible minute to putting a decent flying lap in there. Only does what he needs to do. But Callum Gunning, great result there. Up in the top 5, Sam Cunliffe as well. 5th position on the grid for the heat. So that's going to be a really strong start for him. But what an amazing battle this is going to be as the drivers continuously get closer and closer to each other towards the end of qualifying. It all tightens up. And the fast nature of this championship in the juniors means it's going to be really, really good fun. So we'll have some great battles from them as the racing continues. But the juniors end with Dylan Reid at the top from Harry Graham, Callum Gunning, Scott Huntley, Sam Cunliffe and Tom Davison in the top 6.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
What a start. Great cadet session, great junior session. Absolutely brilliant. Very close all the way to the death there in the junior session. Qualifying is always one of the highlights of the weekend in the juniors because you just don't know who's going to have the ultimate pace in one lap. Similar story in the elites, actually, because this is going to be a very interesting challenge. A lot of drivers here in this grid who want to impress and do a good job. But again, we have this incredible story in the 2018 season in the 125cc category. Just one championship, of course. Last year it was 2 for elites and masters. It was all based on weight. They took a decision in the off-season to split these 2 categories originally and then form them back together, increase the minimum weight in the elites, decrease the minimum weight in the masters, just throw them into one category. And the racing has been majestic ever since. It's been a great decision, and the racing is tough, brutal, ruthless, and incredibly close. Nobody really knows who's going to be the champion this year, especially when you consider that this weekend could be a very tough one for our championship leader, Sam Faulkner, who was not here yesterday for testing, so now has to come into this qualifying session practically blind as he tries to get himself a pole position time. And that really plays to the advantage of the drivers yesterday, who were particularly quick, the likes of Tyrone Stansfield, Sam Dimolo, and Matthew Pearce, who were very strong yesterday in practice, but it's some great laps and are looking to move themselves forward. So there's a lot of drivers who can make a really big impression on the field here this weekend. You've only Angelo, fresh off the back of racing at Marienborg last week in the European Championships. There's a few other drivers here who can make a difference. Richard Evans, of course, always very strong in the elites category and always one to keep an eye on at the top end of the list. Tom Massaralla had difficulties yesterday, but he's taken to 125cc racing like a duck to water and is incredibly quick straight out of the blocks. There's also the oncoming threat of the 199, Ben Yeomans, who's always at the front end of the Masters grid. He's definitely going to be a factor in this one as he fights for the top 6 supremacy. He'll be a strong charge from the get-go, that is for certain. And then you've got the pretenders for the crowds as they try and move their way forward and make great progression. You've got some very talented racers moving forward. Obviously there's Michael Roots always towards the sharp end. Jason Bradbury definitely getting quicker with every single race that moves forward. And it's not going to be long before Bradbury gets an overall podium. Then we've got the likes of George Friday, always up for the scrap, always a great contender. And every single gap there is, he will find a way through it. And it's great when it comes to overtaking prowess. He always seems to find a way past. Even if it's not the first move, the second, the third or the fourth will always work for him. Spare a thought for a couple of the drivers working very hard indeed, particularly this weekend. Dave Burns is one I've got to feel sorry for. He was very ill last night and he's desperately trying to stay hydrated. The only thing he can keep down at the moment, which is water. So they took a decision to look and see how things were going in the warm-up to see if he could be fit to race. It looks as though he is, so that is really very good news. And hopefully we're going to see more of him move his way forward. Another improving driver always through the field, Dan Walden, always seems to be knocking on the door of that top 6. He's never far away from it. He's always very good at the overtakes in the midfield. Whenever there's a 5 or 6 car train, you're usually going to find Dan Walden in the top 3 of that, and usually the head of it. So Dan Walden is always good at putting himself into a good position and fight his way forward. Very good in traffic as well. Dan knows how to put himself in a good position to gain advantages on other drivers as they pick off one by one. So Dan is one that will definitely be a strong contender here. There's going to be a few other drivers trying to move their way forward. Obviously, the ever-popular Mark Lawrence, very soon to be starting his 250th race 2 weeks from now at Wilton Mill. He will start his 250th BIRELART UK race. So everybody in the paddock should obviously get ready to ruin his weekend. Spoil him rotten, of course, as he hits that 250 race landmark 2 weeks from now. I'm sure there'll be a nice cake or something arranged for him. I think on that same weekend, Sam Dimmelo's actually going to hit his 200th race mark as well. So it's going to be a very interesting centennial weekend. I think it's the first race of the weekend that will be the 250th start for Mark Lawrence. The second race, I think, will be the 200th start for Sam Dimelo. So, my maths, I think that's about right. So it's going to be an interesting one for the elites as they hit some very big landmarks in the championship. There are a few other drivers, of course, who are going to be interesting to watch here this weekend. Sean Port, the nutmeg car, 245, who's no doubt going to be battling once again with David Darling, the 285. Always working good progress as he continues his way through the echelons of top-level racing. He was in the top 10 in the Masters last year, of course, so it'll be great to watch him move his way forward. Will Checkley has been getting a lot more confidence in the car this early part of the season. Definitely looking stronger, more competitive, more upbeat, even though there are things that are still coming away and ending up in my pocket or my car boot on the way home from his car. He is still always smiling, always positive, and always looking for a way to move forward. So I'm sure there's going to be some great action from him once again. There usually is. So as the battle continues to progress in the elites, they will be getting ready for their qualifying session. And very shortly indeed, the whistle will go and the drivers will be heading out onto the circuit for their qualifying session. There's a few other drivers to keep an eye on in this one as well, of course. Aaron Banks and Ben Hitch, two drivers definitely working their magic to move further forward. And there'll be some great race action from them as things continue to progress. So some really, really tight battles in the field here in the elites. It's always one of the best spectacles to watch, the elite final, because you're always going to be guaranteed a tough battle from the front. But I think this time the front could be much harder to fight for because there are going to be so many drivers in the contest. Here we go. Green flag flies at the end of the fixture. We're going to go racing once again as the battle is getting underway shortly. So the drivers get themselves dialed in and ready for action. It will be a tough battle. They all know that, and they're going to have to be very strong from the get-go. But the racers head out onto the circuit, ready for some spectacular race action. So qualifying in the elites begins, and this is their last chance really to get those last little performance defects all sorted and bring themselves up to the top end of the field. So the drivers will get in their first laps early doors, but there's going to be a long wait for the final flying lap, and Matthew Pearce is waiting for his moment to go out. He just wants to see what the rest of the field do in the early stages. And this is obviously going to be the smallest entry for the 2018 BIRELART UK Series Elite Grid. There are a lot of absences this weekend. We think there's as many as 10 who are not here racing this weekend in the elites because of various commitments. Might not be quite as many as 10 actually, but there's certainly a lot of drivers who have not been able to make it to this round of the championship. Well, the drivers are looking for a good battle once again here at Fulbeck, and Matthew Pearce decides to go out after everybody else has gone. Strategic, tactical, could well be. There's 3 drivers who have yet to go out, of course. They're waiting for their moment. Ben Yeomans, Jason Bradbury and George Friday. Interestingly, the clouds are coming in, and that could make things a bit cooler over the last part of the qualifying session. So perhaps the drivers need to be a little conservative about their tyres. Sam Fulbeck is doing his best to just pound around and get himself up to speed very quickly. Richard Evans has gone straight up to the top of the dais with a 46.10. So a very good lap initially then from Richard Evans as he continues to push forward. Harry Barlow is second at the moment from Roots and Stansfield. There go Yeomans and Bradbury as they join the circuit after Matthew Pearce. George Friday looks like he's already gone out. So now the drivers are just getting themselves up to speed, with 19 of them out there on the racetrack. About 10 of them missing from the fray due to holidays or work commitments or various other issues. But it's great to see so many drivers pounding around this Fulbeck circuit in the elite category. Now at the top of the dais is Michael Roots. Roots has gone fastest on a 45.6. So that is the fastest lap from Roots. Stansfield second from Evans and Faulkner. Barlow, Massarella, Lawrence and Dimolo, but Faulkner is full. That is incredibly quick already. So Sam Faulkner obviously doing all his testing in this qualifying session, ready to get straight into the race action. But he's already in the top 5. Roots, Stansfield, Evans, Faulkner, Barlow, Massarella, Dimolo, Mark Lawrence, Dan Walden and Aaron Banks is your top 10. Straight up to second though goes Matthew Pearce. Matthew Pearce second already. So a great opening gambit from Matthew Pearce as he puts himself further forward up the dais. And Sam Faulkner, goodness me, looks like he's in a race with Will Checkley. Sam Faulkner riding the curbs in his absolute insistence to go ahead of Will Checkley. And Sam Faulkner trying to prove something here. So the drivers continue to work hard as they push themselves around the circuit. Still putting in a hard effort. But Roots is your leader. Second is Pearce, third is Stansfield, fourth is Evans, now fifth is Dan Walden. Dan Walden's up to fifth. Sixth is Faulkner from Barlow. Up to fifth now comes Yeomans. Yeomans is fifth. So a good run from Ben Yeomans. But it's Roots, Pearce, Stansfield, Evans, Yeomans, Walden, Faulkner, Barlow, Dimolo. Up to fourth goes Evans, up to third goes Barlow. So it's Roots, Pearce, Barlow and Stansfield. From Evans and Massarella, Yeomans and Walden, Faulkner and Dimolo in the top 10. Faulkner now goes fourth. Good up from Sam Faulkner. But there's a lot of race still to come from these guys in the middle of the pack. Ben Hitch has come up to 10th place ahead of Sam Dimolo and George Friday. Walden goes back to 5th in front of Stansfield. But it's Roots, Pearce, Barlow, Faulkner, Walden, Stansfield, Evans and Massarella at the moment. Up to the lead comes Ben Yeomans. Yeomans cracks the top spot. Wow, good run from Ben Yeomans, who goes fastest of all. And now it's Tyrone Stansfield who goes fastest. Stansfield goes to the top. And now it's Richard Evans at the top. Changing all the time. Evans now goes fastest. So it's Evans, Stansfield, Roots, Yeomans, Pearce, Barlow and Sam Faulkner in 8th position. 7th position, Faulkner. So goodness me, it's tough. But it's very close to the top end. Still under 5 minutes to go. Evans, Stansfield, Roots, Yeomans and Pearce in the top 5. Then it's Barlow, Faulkner, Walden, Dimolo and Massarella in 10th. Oh, there's a problem at the far end. Looks like a bit of coming together on the circuit. And that is between the 301 of Barlow and Richard Evans, the number 2. They're shaking their fists at each other as if to say, what are you doing? Massarella gesturing to Evans, Evans gesturing to Barlow. Well, don't ask two racing drivers to have the same opinion about one incident, but particularly dramatic. Now Pearce goes to the top. Matthew Pearce cracks the top spot. So now the leader driver is Matthew Pearce from Evans, Stansfield, Roots, Yeomans and Barlow. For Richard Evans in second place, it looks as though he's done for his qualifying session. So Richard Evans in second place, and it looks as though he's going to remain at the sharp end. But there's still some fast laps to come in. Pearce is your leader from Evans, Stansfield, Yeomans, Roots, Barlow, Faulkner, Massarella, and in 9th and 10th are Dimolo and Walden. This is going to be very interesting if it finishes like this. Matthew Pearce and Richard Evans still battling away. Stansfield third from Ben Yeomans in 4th position. Still chipping away at those faster times if they can find them. Up to the top 6 comes Massarella. Then Faulkner goes faster again. But Massarella now up in the 7th place. Massarella in 7th position now. So good progress from the 302. Now just a little bit quicker than Harry Barlow. But Matthew Pearce is looking for another flying lap if he can find one to go even faster. He's just done a 45.5. Done a 45.3, sorry, and that is good enough to be faster than anybody else. Richard Evans second. Still there in P2. Stansfield, Yeomans, Faulkner, Roots and Massarella in the top 10, as well as Barlow, Dimolo and Walden. Then it's Ben Hitch from George Friday. Up to second comes Faulkner. Faulkner second with no testing yesterday. Goodness me, Faulkner's good. So Faulkner goes second fastest with no testing yesterday at all. Still knows his way around this place. And my goodness me, he's on it. So it's Pearce, Faulkner, Evans, Stansfield, Yeomans, Roots and Massarella. So it looks like nobody needs Saturday testing after all. Not if you're Sam Faulkner anyway. Incredible. So the final couple of minutes, it is Pearce from Faulkner, Evans, Stansfield, Yeomans, Roots, Massarella, Barlow, Dimolo and Hitch. Then it is Walden from Bradbury, Friday, Banks, Lawrence, Port, Darling, Dave Burns and Bill Chickley. So just a couple of minutes left of the session then as the drivers continue to find that little bit of extra speed if they can find it. It will be tough, it will be tense, they know it. All of the drivers out here are giving it absolutely everything they've got. But they know it's going to be a tough one to race for. And they're going to push it right to the death here. Into the pits comes Matthew Pearce. He's done. The fastest man in qualifying is done. So, can Matthew Pearce remain on top? Yeomans has done enough as well. Yeomans is in. So Yeomans is done with qualifying as well. The best he can do is 5th position. And Will Checkley comes into the pits as well, having had enough of his qualifying run. But it's still Matthew Pearce on top from Faulkner, Evans, Stansfield and Yeomans. Roots in 6th. Then it's Massarella, Barlow, Dimolo and Ben Hitch now in the top 10. So Ben Hitch has cracked the top 10 in front of Dan Walden. This is going to be so tough. Great racing guaranteed from the elites as we know, but we're coming into the final minute of qualifying. The last minute. Stansfield has done enough. So Stansfield comes in. So Stansfield will be at best 4th on the grid. Not bad from Tyrone Stansfield, but there are still a couple of drivers out there who'll want to try and get another lap out. Harry Barlow comes into the pit shaking his head. The best Barlow can hope for is 9th this time. But the battle is really on for that final top spot. Can anybody displace Matthew Pearce or Sam Faulkner? Evans in 3rd, Stansfield in 4th from Yeomans and Roots. Dimolo there in 7th from Massarella, Barlow and Hitch. Walden, Bradbury, Friday, Banks, Lawrence, Port, Darling, Burns and Checkley. They're finishing up their sessions. Is there going to be one final hurrah? A couple of seconds left of the session, so it looks like Burns and Bradbury are going to do one more lap. Massarella's going to finish his qualifying run. Is that going to be enough to move up from 8th place? It's a great run for Massarella. Can he go even higher? Not this time. He remains in 8th place, so not a bad run at all from Massarella. But it looks to me as though it's going to be Matthew Pearce and Sam Faulkner on the front row of the grid. Absolutely incredible. Great to see that this rivalry continues on in the 3rd weekend of the championship. and the racing's going to be spectacular. Sam Dimolo needing to get one more lap in. Can he move out of ninth place? Out of 7th place, sorry. Dimolo up to 7th. Can he crack the top 6 with this lap? Ahead of Roots. We're going to see if he gets there. No. So Dimolo remains 7th. Such a tight top 10. Pierce, Faulkner, Evans, Stansfield, Yeomans, Roots, Dimolo, Massarala, Barlow and Hitch. From Walden, Bradbury. Friday 13th from Lawrence, Banks, Port, David Darling, Dave Burns and Will Checkley. But a great battle and a pole position by just .044. Matthew Pierce in front of Sam Faulkner. This is going to be one heck of a race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
An incredible qualifying session in the elites comes to a close. Absolutely astonishing. The entire field very, very closely spread. Just to give you an idea of how tight it is here at Fulbeck, a circuit which is all about speed and rhythm and flow. The top 16 drivers covered by a second. Absolutely incredible. These amazing Vega tyres, very closely matched indeed. The drivers putting in an amazing job with these spectacular engines. An amazing run as well. In fact, Sam Dimolo just coming over to find out how you did. You were 7th, mate. That's not too bad. Oh, he's wandered over. Clearly doesn't want to talk to me. Okay, Sam Dimolo, 7th fastest. So close in the top 16 karts. A second between them. Trying to pick a pole position. Very, very tough, including the fact that Matthew Pierce, very rightly on pole position with a very fast lap there, but just .044 back, despite no testing at all yesterday, Sam Faulkner. How does he do it? It's just astonishing. Second fastest. Well, that is the story from qualifying. An absolutely amazing day at the races here. These wonderful IAMI engines with these fantastic Vega tyres and these BIRELART chassis, always giving us an absolutely incredible day of racing. And today is going to be no different, I'm sure. We've got some fantastic battles to come, and the drivers will be absolutely raring to go as they gear up for the action. So there will be some terrific racing from the cadets to start us off with, and it'll be a really close battle for them all as they race for position. This top 6, very closely matched indeed, but one man who is going to race from the back and charge his way forward, Oakley Keatley. This is going to be a great race for him as he fights his way through the traffic and gets himself back into contention. Could still very easily win the final. Let's not forget that. Oakley Keatley took his first final victory last time out at Clay Pigeon. So it's going to be a great opportunity to see what he can do from the back of the grid as he fights his way forward. But the front row of the grid is going to be Ella Stevens and Nathan Tye as they resume their battle. It will be an absolutely terrific run as the driving continues on. Great racing from them at the front end of the grid. Charlie Humphreys and Jamie Gurney on the second row of the grid. And the only thing I can say to that is back where they belong. 2 weekends, it's been really, really tough for them. Neither of them have really found the pace they wanted. But 3rd and 4th on the grid for Humphreys and Gurney. It's good to be back, isn't it? Absolutely where they need to be, where they belong, and great to see them at the sharp end. Now the next focus has got to be for victory. Nathan Tye and Ella Stevens on the front row of the grid will be tough to beat, but both Humphreys and Gurney have the tools to get the job done here, as does the man in 5th on the grid, Aidan Hassan. His confidence has been steadily growing every single time he comes out to battle, and here on the 3rd row of the grid, Hassan on that inside line for the first chicane will be a very big threat from the start, and everybody knows just what he can do. We've also got that incredible driver in 6th position on the grid, going through the field like wildfire nowadays. Archie Heron, 6th position on the starting grid, the first of our rookies this year to crack the top 6 in qualifying, and that's a really good achievement for him. Well deserved to see him up there, but there are 2 very closely matched rookies just behind. Craig Evans, top rookie last time out at Clay Pigeon, 7th on the grid for this one, And alongside him on the grid, great to see the returning Ali Hussein, 8th on the starting grid for this one. And very, very impressive performance from him, considering he missed the weekend at Clay Pigeon. We're all sorry not to have him there, but his speed around here is absolutely brilliant. So let's see what he can do. And a strong top 10 finish is looking very good at the moment, with Lily Jeffs and Josh Turnbull continuing their progress in the top 10, and that's a great place for them to be as well. So with a couple of drivers not being able to make it here, unfortunately, this weekend, it's really opened the game up for some of these young guns to step up their game and move further forward. So we're going to see some great racing from them as they battle away for supremacy. So as they challenge themselves for victory, we will have a really good run, and there's going to be a good battle. As the cadets make their way forward, the drivers will contest the battle. Here is the full grid. Ella Stevens and Nathan Tye on that front row of the starting grid. Charlie Humphreys and Jamie Gurney on the second row. Aidan Hassan and Archie Heron from the third row of the starting grid, with Craig Evans and Ali Hussein on the fourth row. Fifth row will be Lily Jeffs and Josh Turnbull, with Hudson Cross and Jamie Scott lining up together on the sixth row of the starting grid, with the grid completed by Jake Bell and the hard charger, no doubt, Oakley Keatley. Dramatic qualifying, but that's over. It's done. It's in the past. Now time to get back to where Oakley Keatley rightly belongs, the sharp end of the field, and it's going to be a great battle. So the drivers will get themselves ready for action. It's going to be a great start from their point of view. And so now the drivers are getting themselves ready. They'll have a quick driver's briefing, and then we will have our race start. So we will disappear shortly, and then when we come back, we'll be underway racing once again. So that is qualifying done and dusted. It's time for the heats very shortly here at Fulbeck.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.